Hello, my literary luminaries, and welcome back. This is Tuesday Talks, and I'm actually really excited about this topic. This is something that I actually was just talking to someone about a couple days ago at my place of employ, I believe. But today's topic is, what do you think about required reading in school? This is a bit of a topic for me, and I have discussed it many times with many people. And I really don't think my opinion is going to change anytime soon, but I'm excited to have a chance to talk about it here. As you all probably know, can guess, etc., because I'm on BookTube, I love reading. Books are a big thing to me. I have degrees in how to write these things. Reading has always been very important. Both of my parents were big readers. They encouraged me to be a big reader. Books are sort of my lifeline. And I've heard a lot of people, roughly my age, look at me and be like, oh, I don't read anymore. It's so boring. It takes so long. And it breaks my heart to hear people say that they think reading is boring, that they haven't read since school, that they can't imagine why anyone would waste their time reading books. I am wounded. And it took me a while to figure out why this was the case, because more and more people kept telling me that. And I finally kind of looked at it and realized that I think that the required reading we do in school ruins reading for people. And I even see it in myself. I mean, if I go back and look at my reading habits, from high school until now, there's a huge drop-off. During high school, into college, afterwards, I fell out of the habit and I never picked it back up. Because when we're required to read in school, more often than not, this is not always the case, but more often than not, we're forced to overanalyze the book. I make a bit of a jab at it in one of the stories that I've been working on, where I say that, one of the questions on a quiz is going to be, on which page did the character, refer to the color of the curtains? What color was it? And what does it mean by that? It takes tiny little itty bitty details. And it's like, on page 3, so-and-so said an important sentence. What do you think it means? Which means I have to somehow remember every sentence that could be deemed important in whatever chapter or chapters we were supposed to read and go from there. My memory's not that good. I have trouble with reading retention regardless because I read quickly, and I think my eyes skip over pieces occasionally, and I know that's my own fault, but there's still a level that you can ask more generic questions and figure out if your students have done the reading. You can ask wider questions with a better, surrounding, overarching is the word I wanted. Like a bigger overarching understanding of the plot without getting into specifics that kids don't necessarily remember, especially in high school, because my memory sucked in high school. I'm only slightly better now. I didn't pay attention to things. It was awful. And I was one of the good students. I often say that I've only ever not read one book that I was assigned in school. Everything else, no matter how much I didn't like it, I read the book, I took the quizzes, I did my best. It would have been my sophomore year, I believe, of school. I think it was sophomore year. That the teacher assigned us Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. I got 5 chapters in, some very small amount of chapters in, and could not keep reading. I couldn't do it. I gave up. I set the book down and went, you know what? I'm going to Cliff Notes it. Never thought I'd say this, but I'm going to Cliff Notes it. It then turned out that the entire rest of my class stopped reading, and then the teacher stopped trying to teach it. And then she left halfway through the year. My class was not the best behaved in the entire world. But regardless, even though I read a whole bunch of books that I really enjoyed in high school, there's still an element of why do I have to read so specifically for such details that I can't enjoy the story because I'm too busy wondering what's going to be on the test. And then in college, I actually took very few classes that required me to read like fiction books. I tested out of English 100 or 101 or whatever it was because of the AP class I'd taken in high school. And so I never took an English class there. I took a writing 100 class. And then, I mean, I suppose I read some like plays and stuff. I was a theater student for a while. But I don't think I read all that much in terms of fiction at all in college. And I did some on my own, but a lot of my books didn't come with me to college. There was nowhere for me to put them. So they were only at home, so I could only read them on breaks. And during breaks, I was usually doing other things. So I just didn't read a lot in college. And by the time I got out, that was, anywhere from 4 to 8 years in college and high school that I hadn't been reading, and I was utterly out of the habit. I really wasn't aware of that really strongly. I sort of knew in the back of my head, I don't read as much as I used to. But it didn't really come to light until I went to grad school. They're like, all right, you have to read 4 books this semester. And suddenly that was a lot in my head. And I struggled sometimes, and I couldn't get the reading done. I was like, I don't have any time to read. Blah. Which wasn't true. I was just using my time badly and doing other things instead of reading. And it's only been really within the past year and a half that I finally sat down and went, you know what? If you're going to be a better writer, you have to read more. And if you want to ever get through all these books that you've bought, you have to read more. And if you like reading, read more. And this is from someone who loves books. What about the people that don't? The people that aren't as passionate about it as, those of us here on BookTube and whatnot can be? What about the people whose only real exposure to books was ever in high school? If my biggest memory of books was The Great Gatsby, I'm not going to read books after high school because The Great Gatsby was stupid. I wrote an entire essay when I went into grad school on how I hate The Great Gatsby. That's a topic for a different story. Yes, there are books like To Kill a Mockingbird, Fahrenheit 451. What was the other book I read that year? I read 4 books my junior year. 3 of them were really awesome, and 1 was The Great Gatsby. Gatsby, Mockingbird, Fahrenheit 451. Oh, and Catcher in the Rye. That was the other one. Loved 3 of the books. Can't handle Gatsby. Can't do it. I have reread it. I like it more than I used to. I still don't like it, though. But if these are the books I'm faced with, am I going to go out of my way, as someone who does not outside of school have a passion for reading at all, an interest in reading at all? Am I going to search out books once I leave? No, because I remember, oh God, all these books are just tedious and dumb, and I have to look for colors of curtains and blah, 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 blah. They're not going to go after it, which is why, as much as I don't necessarily enjoy things like Twilight, 50 Shades of Grey, any of that sort of stuff, Harry Potter I do like, but it fits the trend. I like series like that because they made people read again. Even I really bash 50 Shades a lot, but it brought a whole bunch of people back into the reading world. Fantastic. You know what? Well done, E.L. James. I am happy that you did that. I would also like to hand these people new and better books, but whatever gets you started. If that's your gateway book, then so be it. I'll find you a whole bunch more harder books and get you utterly addicted. And that metaphor has gone on long enough, I think. That's pretty much my opinion on the subject. I think we need to reevaluate how we do required reading. I think it's important for people to read. I think it's important to be introduced to some of the classics, some of the good stuff. I think we should be taught it, but I think we need to look at how we teach it and how we can do it better. But I don't necessarily have a better idea of how to do it, but maybe that's something I can look at over time. What about you? Tell me what you think. Do you like the way we do required reading? Do you think it should be changed? Do you have any ideas on how to make it better? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear from you. And as always, I will see you again on Thursday for our Top 5 Thursday. Bye! People trying to get out of snow. There's not that much snow on the ground anymore, guys. And it breaks my heart to hear people say that they think that writing, or not writing. People stomping around. There we go.